You're listening to the legendary podcaster, the one, the only, T-Jam D. Your personal favorite, and the show you've been waiting for. Probably offensive.
Welcome to another episode of Probably Offensive. I am your host, Anthony Scott Dover, and your COVID update. One of these days we're not going to give the COVID update because one of these days we'll be past COVID. I guarantee you. I'm, not like the president on that, because us being past COVID doesn't mean that it's going to go away. The president keeps saying that COVID is going to go away, but he's wrong. And it's not because we're still in the pandemic, because usually these viruses are hard pressed to just go away. I mean, we still have the common cold because new strands pop up all the time. It didn't just go away. The flu is still around. It didn't just go away. So when the president said it'll just go away, he's wrong. Even when we're past it as a society, like the cases have gone down to a minimum, it ain't gonna just go away, because different strands will pop up, and we'll have a vaccine and people start to become immune. Some people don't catch the flu. I myself have never had a flu shot. It doesn't mean the flu still doesn't kill people and it's not, deadly. But we're not having a pandemic because of the flu. We're having a pandemic because of COVID, and it's not just going to go away. The COVID numbers are 8.6 million. Like, we're moving fast with the case count. And we're up over 225,000 people who have died from COVID. So that's where we are with COVID. Getting closer to Election Day. I think there's only 10 days left now. This is Sunday night, 10:25. You guys will have to excuse me when you hear me snort or sniffle. It's not COVID, but I have allergies, and sometimes if I get too much mucus in my head, I have to snort and sniffle. So I apologize for doing that on the mic. That is not intentionally. It's a habit. So right now, it's been reported that the Vice President, Mike Pence, has 5 staffers who've contracted COVID. And Mike Pence has refused to quarantine himself, although he's tested negative so far. But he's had his chief of staff test positive for COVID. And also 4 other staff members on the vice president's personal detail. But he is on the coronavirus response team, COVID response. Mike Pence is. So he's doing the exact opposite of what he's supposed to do according to the CDC guidelines. When you are in direct contact with someone who tests positive for COVID, you're supposed to quarantine yourself and get tested. He's not quarantining. He's out on the campaign trail. He was tested. I don't know when. I don't remember what they said when he was tested, but he tested negative. But they say it takes four days of incubation for you to have enough COVID in your system to test positive. So maybe he got lucky and he's going to escape the COVID, or maybe it's in its incubation period and in 3 days he'll test positive. Never know. Well, I never know. I don't know what they know. But they're on the campaign trail. Him and the president, two different places. I think the president was somewhere in New Hampshire today. And I don't even remember where the vice president was, but they're both out doing rallies. Not the place where you get, not the fast food joint. Although President Trump might not mind that too much. They're both doing rallies because it's coming down to the wire. I don't know why they're doing the rallies. I mean, they're going to get Amy Coney Barrett in as a justice, and they're going to claim once they lose the election that it was a fraud, and then they're going to take it to the Supreme Court to have the results of the election overturned. And they are expecting Amy Coney Barrett and the rest of the conservative justices to rule in their favor. President Trump and Vice President Pence. This is what their plan is: to try to win legitimately, but if not, to have the results overturned by the courts, by the Supreme Court. That's what they're planning to do. We'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted. But early voting, if you haven't voted yet and you are registered, you should vote tomorrow whenever you can, because waiting till November 3rd is a bad idea. They've had more people vote early than any other time in history. So people understand that, getting your vote, getting to the polls and voting as soon as you can is the best idea, to not only to not have to stand in line, but the best idea so that President Trump can't claim that, there's some type of fraud going on. They can have the votes counted on November 3rd. All the early voting going on, they probably already have started counting. If you're a registered voter, if you're not registered, go ahead and get registered and vote for Biden. Registering to vote doesn't take very long. You can get registered online. So if you are 18 years old or more, go ahead and get yourself registered. Unless you're planning to vote for President Trump, then you can register on November 4th. You still should register, just you could wait till November 4th to register if you're thinking about voting for Trump Pence. All right, we're going to pause, take a quick break, 30 seconds, We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to a man who's so sexy it's completely ridiculous. Mr. Anthony Scott Dover. Yummy.
Welcome back. We're back. All right, we're going to move on. Enough politics for now. We may get back to it later. Hopefully, we don't have anything else to say about politics on this episode, but that's what's going on right now in our world, so got to talk about it. I saw something today when I was watching football that I had not seen before, and that is they had a female analyst. I don't know, I was turning channels and I seen a female analyst in football. I don't think it was a sideline reporter, because usually the sideline reporters just ask a question of the coach or a player on the sideline. They don't give too much of an opinion themselves, which I don't know why. Because I didn't mind that they had a female football analyst. As long as she knows what she's talking about, it's fine with me. I mean, I don't think you have to. Not all the analysts is someone who played the game on a professional level. You know, some of the analysts are just broadcasters who are sports fans. And those guys, that wouldn't be any different for a woman if she is not just a sports fan, but a football fan. I mean, if you have been watching and paying attention to football, and you know the game just as well as any of us guys who did not play in the NFL, and I'm not comparing myself to an analyst or a broadcaster who would be on ESPN or something like that, on Fox Sports, you know, CBS or any one of the networks that actually covers the NFL. They have broadcasters commenting as well as ex-players. Especially on some of these pregame shows. On ESPN, they have so many pregame shows, which is cool, especially on Sunday when you know football is coming on during the football season. You know, I used to watch a lot of those shows. I mean, they just be talking about football. They're talking about different teams. They're talking about the games that are coming up and what they expect to see, talking about, you know, players that are not available because of injury, and, you know, a lot of different things they're talking about. And I've never actually seen them have a woman. I've seen that Susie Colbert she's been a sideline reporter for years, but she actually does the pregame show now for Monday Night Football for ESPN. But she doesn't give a lot of her own opinion. She really just asking the analysts, who are all ex-players, what their opinions are. But I think she's smart enough. She's a good broadcaster. She's been around the game enough to know what's going on. So, you know, I think it would be okay for her to give her personal opinion about NFL football. I mean, football can be complicated, but it's not rocket science.